Welcome, everybody, once again to another episode and another session of Coach Steele's Finance Training. Happy to have everybody tuning in on today. We have another awesome session for you all today. And if you don't know, the title of this session today is Overcoming Obstacles. We're looking at Chapter 7 in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, written by Robert Kiyosaki. Many of you know about the book because we have been going over this book for since last year, going chapter by chapter, taking our time. We have about 2 or 3 more chapters left, and we'll be done with the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But as promised, I'm going to go through the whole book start to finish. And so that's one of the things here on Coach Steele's Finance Training that we got to get done in 2026. Every once in a while, we'll interview entrepreneurs and have other things that are going on. And so we have chapter 7, chapter 8, and chapter 9 left to go over. If you're new to Coach Steele's Finance Training and you're a first-time listener, you can always go order this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And as you're reading it, every chapter we've gone over up to chapter 7, and you can go back to the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and listen to the chapter review that we did together on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Make sure you subscribe. And as we are live today, make sure you share this live with someone else. We already have the chat section popping already. Everybody, you already know, as you meet me, as you greet me, come into the room, tell me good morning. I want to shout you out. Good morning to Yvette Steele, my lovely wife. Good morning to Mr. Tony Sherman. I see you tuned in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. You all make sure you share the live. We're talking about chapter 7 on today. And the interesting part, good morning to you, Chester Flakes. Happy to have you tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Good morning, Honey Bun. Happy to have you tuning in. That's what I'm talking about. Let's turn it up a notch. Has anybody ever read the full book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Good morning to you, Jeffrey Dudley. Good morning to you, Arnie. As y'all are tuning in, we're talking about overcoming obstacles. And that's what chapter 7 talks about in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, this book is a great book, especially for people who are aspiring to go higher and to do greater things when it comes to their finances. Kind of switch your mindset and shift your mind to thinking different about money, how things work, networking, partnership, the list goes on, assets, liabilities. And so as we continue in this book on today, chapter 7 talks about the 5 main reasons financially literate people will still not develop abundant cash flow. And so think about it. He's saying there's people who are financially literate. There are people who understand basics about money, but there are 5 things that still hinder them from having success in that financial space. And so we're going to deal with all of them, all 5. And so number 1 that we deal with on today is overcoming fear. Now, when we look at overcoming fear, how many of you can truly be honest as you tune in on today? How many of you all can raise your hand, put a finger up? I mean, not a finger up, put a hand up in the chat section and say, you know what? I've had to deal with overcoming fear with my finances. Happy to have you tuning in as we're reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, chapter 7. How many can say, I've had to deal with overcoming fear? In that chat section, comment section, light it up. I want to hear who can be honest. And so no one likes to lose money. That's how it starts out. And of course, none of us, I don't want to lose money. I don't mind giving money away. I don't mind donating, but no one wants to just lose money. How many people have invested, tried to invest, and lost money? You know, recently when we look at the pandemic 2020, all of a sudden everyone tried their hand at investing, tried their hand at investing in crypto and the stock market. Everyone went and got Robinhood accounts. Everyone went and got some type of platform, some platforms you had never heard of before, but you set it up so you could buy some cryptocurrency or some Dogecoin. But no one likes to lose money. And so when we lose money, it makes people more afraid than ever to ever have to go through that experience again of losing money. Good morning to everybody. Okay, Yvette has her hand up. Tony Sherman puts his thumbs up. So many people have had to overcome fear of losing money. And so when we look at chapter 7, everyone has the fear of losing money. The difference is how you handle fear of losing. How do you handle that fear? Because when you lose money, if something happens or an investment doesn't go the right way, guys, like how do you handle it? Do you get frustrated? Do you say, I'm never doing this again? It's all how you handle and your mentality if you find yourself losing. Good morning to you, Kashana Johnson. Happy to have you tuning in. I see you, Ice B More, over there. Thank you for jumping in the chat. Bishop Robert, thank you for joining us on this morning as well. As you tune in to Coach Steele's Finance Trainer, we are talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad and overcoming fear in chapter 7. And what Robert says is it's okay to be fearful. One way to overcome is that to start early and allow the power of compound interest to work for you. Now, here on Coach Steele's Finance Trading, we've talked a lot about the power of compound interest and using it to your advantage. And one of the baby steps, when I work with clients one-on-one, one of the baby steps that I help them start off with learning to trust and invest, put their money to work for them for compound interest, is something as simple as the high yield interest savings account. And so anytime you go to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, I'll have links that you can click on and open up a high yield interest savings account. That way you can make more than, the regular checking and savings account, you make less than 1% interest, right? But with a high yield interest savings account, you can make anywhere between 3.3 to maybe 3.7% interest. So your money is making compound interest. Your emergency fund is making compound interest. You're earning, but also some of the sites will allow you to be an affiliate for the bank. So you can also make compound interest plus money as an affiliate, helping other people sign up. So I want you all to think about that. And that's just one of the baby steps. But think about this, ladies and gentlemen, as you share the live, let's share this conversation that we're having on today about overcoming fear financially. Here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, I am building, and we are building a community where we can come and talk about finances on a basic level to help people really elevate, break bad habits, overcome fear, and get rid of cynicism and laziness so that they can be financially successful. And so here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, that's what we are pushing and promoting. Good morning to you, Markeisha. Happy to have you tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. We're talking about overcoming fear and being honest with ourselves on today of how we overcome fear. And so when I get people to do a high yield interest savings account, they're so afraid to do it. Even when I say, well, the bank is FDIC insured. So if anything happens, your money is safe. Your money is secure. So when we look at this today, the fact that people are afraid to let their money work for them at a higher interest rate in an account that's safe, it's mind-boggling. It really shows the level of fear that is going on in America and clients that I deal with. There's a staggering difference between a person who starts saving at 20 versus 30. That's one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki talks about when you're building compound interest. The earlier you start, the better, because your money works harder for you the earlier you start. Now, listen to this that Robert Kiyosaki says. He says, in Robert's life, winning has often followed losing. I want y'all to hear that. In his life and his experience with dealing with money, making deals, negotiating transactions, investing, winning has often followed losing. So after he has taken a loss, and he's been very, very financially successful in his life, winning is right around the corner. Most people, after they take a loss, they shut down, they quit, they go in their prospective corners and say, I'll never try that again. And so many times we blame and take our lack of investing, we use that as a reason. When we don't invest, we use fear and the loss as a reason why we should never try to invest again. I want to have a real conversation with you all on today because I want to open up your minds. I want to open up your thoughts on today. Happy to have you tuning in, Shirley Frazier. As you all, we're talking about, and let's see, we got DAM Then BC, happy to have you tuning in as well to Coach Steele's Finance Training, T-Bone, and Charity USA, happy to have you tuning in as well. We cannot use fear as a reason why we shouldn't try again, why we shouldn't invest again. And I feel like that's what a lot of people do. Make sure you all are sharing the live so other people can join in on this conversation. He talks about a few events that happened in America. He says the fall of the Alamo was a tragic military defeat, but Texans have turned that into a rallying cry, remember the Alamo. And so to spur them on to great victories. Some people will take that defeat, that loss, and use it as motivation to have better success. Happy to have you, Donna Dixon, tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. How many here can remember in life where you took a loss and used it as motivation to help you have success later on? How many people have been told no in their life before, and from that no, it spurred you, it motivated you to go get a yes later on, or a no, I won't allow you to do that. So you went and took it and did it yourself. You created something for yourself. I think about one of our listeners on today, Mykesha, when I met her at a program, I Pray, Plan, and Execute by Takara Nicole and her team, as I was a guest speaker there on the panel, having that conversation there. And then now when you fast forward months later, Mykesha has her own podcast. She set up her own platform to have the type of conversations that she wants. So she took an opportunity where she would normally be shy, where she would normally not want to communicate or have a conversation. There's a big crowd of people once you get to know her and her personality and her story. But she went to that event, which is something that would be something she normally wouldn't do. She may not have made the connections that she needed to at the event, but she still reached out later. And next thing you know, I end up on her podcast, having conversations with her. She ends up talking to other entrepreneurs. So at the event, she may not have made the connections that she needed to, which could have been seen as a loss because of fear that she had. But then later on, she overcame that fear, reached out, connected to people, and still put her system together, her platform together. How many people, I wish I could add people in so they could tell their testimony of how they had to overcome fear to now have financial success. If you don't know, here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, I love investing in real estate. I like buying long-term real estate, long-term holds. And so with that, I remember when I first got into real estate investing, I had so many fears. How am I going to manage these properties? What if I get bad tenants? Should I do Section 8? All of these different things. Should I do fix and flips? I'm worried. What if the tenants don't pay rent? All of this fear. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I started educating myself. Most people have fear because there's a lack of education. There's a lack of information. There's a lack of knowledge. And so when you learn how to overcome fear by educating yourself, in that comment section, just put educate yourself. I want to hear you all and read educate yourself. Hey, Jane Carter, happy to have you tuning in. Coach Steele's Finance Training. Marge tuning in. Bernard tuning in. If you want to overcome fear, you need to educate yourself. Where are my note takers at? Educate yourself. Shauna says, congratulations, Mykesha. Networking in the room. Tony Sherman. Let's see what else we have here. Good morning, Pamela Francis. Happy to have you tuning in. Thank you. Educate yourself. Crystal Moore. Educate yourself. Yvette Steele. Educate yourself. Guys, I'm excited about today because we are going to overcome our fear in 2026 when it comes to an investing. Some of you invest on a low level, but there's other things that you desire to do. You want to take it to higher heights. You want to elevate yourself in your level of investing that you do. So there's another level of fear that we have to overcome, and overcoming that fear, I'm giving you all a tip. Educate yourself more on that subject matter. Educate yourself. Take deeper dives. How can I mitigate? How can I control the loss? So I gave the example about real estate investing, right? Thank you, Honey Bun. Educate yourself. As y'all are tuning in, I see y'all's comments in. And so when we look at this situation and we talk about overcoming fear and how I had to do it in real estate, I started educating myself. How do I make better deals? How do I make sure that I have a profit? Happy to have you tuning in. Duality, Black Progress. Thank you for tuning in. Joseph, thank you. Adner. And so I had to start doing math. I had to start pulling out papers. I have folders and folders and binders of paper and math and numbers when it comes to real estate investing, of me trying to figure out how do I structure a deal so that I win, and so that also maybe the seller wins as well. Everyone comes out as a good situation. What's realistic? What's not realistic? How can I make 10 to 12% on my investments? And so these are things that were important to me. Thank you for sharing the live and tagging other people in this here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. As y'all are tuning in, whether it's Trish or Christian, if y'all find yourself and you're facing the place getting this information, thank you, Sam, for joining us here on Coach Steele's Finance Training today. I really want to deal with the fear. Robert Kiyosaki says there's 5 things that stop people who are financially literate. They understand basics of money, but there's still 5 things that hinder them. And I really just want to deal with overcoming fear on today, because I find that that's one of the major ones. So when I started doing research, I had to learn what cash on cash return meant. How do I do the math to figure out what my cash on cash return is? With that alone, it helped me figure out not to overpay for the property. I can't pay but so much for this property because of what I'm not only going to have to think. Check this out now, my real estate investors. You have to think about the cash that you're going to put down at closing, also the money that you're going to spend on the inspection, because you want to do due diligence. Listen, anytime you do any type of investing, and to help yourself overcome fear, you want to do due diligence. In that comment section, you want to conduct due diligence. D-U-E, diligence. Y'all want me to spell out diligence too? Y'all might do it in the comment section for me. So you want to conduct due diligence. That's important. Remember what I said. One of the best things you can do to overcome fear is to educate yourself. Due diligence is actually getting you education. So I go get great inspectors. I don't care if they cost the most, they're going to save me the most money. And so as y'all are tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, happy to have you tuning in, Mr. EJ Brown. Shout out to you and all that you do for the community and the young people over in Albany, Georgia, and the All-Star game that you put on every year, working with those kids, getting them exposure. Thank you very much for that. And so part of financial literacy, ladies and gentlemen, a big part of it is being able to give back and support those that even if you support them, there's nothing they can ever do for you because of what you sold into them and gave. So due diligence, Pam, thank you for putting that up. As we are talking about overcoming fear when it comes to investing in yourself, trying something new, stepping out there. As we're in a new year, I really want you all to challenge yourself to step out there and overcome those fears. What are those fears that you're dealing with? I'm telling you all about my real estate investing story and how I had to overcome things. I had to learn what cash on cash return was. So I know the money that I'm putting down, even the due diligence, the earnest money, and sometimes when you're buying a long-term rental, there are repairs that you have to make before you put the next tenant in there. So then you have to even count that in. That's all the cash that's going in on that deal to make sure you account for all of that so you can really find out what your true cash on cash return is. You need to learn what the 1% rule is. The 1% rule will help you decide whether or not you should even blink at that deal or not. And so as you continue to go through educating yourself on real estate investing or investing in cryptocurrency, like let's say someone wants to invest in cryptocurrency, but they're afraid. You need to figure out and study patterns. You need to learn how to read charts. You need to learn what is causing the cryptocurrency to go up and down. What events is the president making announcements? What causes it? Is it Saturday Night Live with Elon Musk? What makes that crypto that I want to invest in move? Thank you for jumping in, tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, Tiger. Let's see, we got Yvette saying conduct due diligence. Yes, y'all are doing your homework in that comment section. Overcoming fear, doing research and homework. And here's another thing. There's a phrase some people say, study long, study wrong. Don't spend 2-3 years doing so much research that you don't take any action. Make sure you find a mentor, have a conversation with someone, bounce ideas off of someone. That way they can help point you in the right direction. Robert Kiyosaki says, just like the Texans, don't bury your losses, be inspired by them. And he says, learn from them. Now, check this out. Here's a good thing that I like that he wrote in this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, for winners, losing inspires them. For losers, losing defeats them. J.D. Rockefeller once said, I always tried to turn every disaster into an opportunity. Those that are tuning in on Facebook, hopefully you all can still see my screen. I don't think I'm sharing it. If so, I'll double check with my wife and make sure that y'all can see me. My Facebook listeners, can y'all see me on Facebook? If so, let me know. Leave a comment if it's not showing up right, and I'll make sure I make whatever adjustment. Okay, I think it stopped if it was on Facebook, so hopefully it will click back in, but I got to keep going. Let's see here. Y'all let me know if it picks back up. Let's see here. Okay, you can see me. All right, awesome. Now, J.D. Rockefeller says, I always tried to turn every disaster into an opportunity. Have you? What disasters have you turned into an opportunity? Has anyone ever had a disaster that they turned into an opportunity? Have you turned a no into an opportunity? There's some people where your job wouldn't give you a raise, your job wouldn't give you an increase, and it was a disaster. It messed up your financial plans, but you took it as an opportunity to go get a second job or go get paid higher somewhere else or create a company, an opportunity, a platform. Have you ever taken a disaster and turned it into an opportunity? This year, another thing that I'm continuing to work on is, getting in better shape. So I go exercise almost every single day. And so I looked at my weight. I was like, this is a disaster, but I use it as an opportunity to improve. I use it as an opportunity to be a testimony to other people so that they can see the progress that I'm making. You can take any loss and turn it into an opportunity. One of my most favorite quotes, and if you're around me enough, you'll hear it like 20 times, is from Nelson Mandela. And so as y'all are tuning in, Nelson Mandela said this. He said, I never lose. I either win or I learn. I never lose. I either win or I learn. And some people would say, well, what do you mean I never lose? And I was explaining this the other day to someone what it meant. If, you got to treat life almost in events and situations almost like it's 4 quarters. If you made an investment of $5,000 and all of a sudden you lost all $5,000, but then you learned how to invest better, you learned how to create stop loss, you learned how to invest in something better or a better situation or invest with other people, whatever it is, you've learned how to put yourself in a better situation and make better investments at the right time, in the right season, into the right companies or with the right group or in yourself. And you take another $5,000 and then all of a sudden with that $5,000, you make $20,000. Well, some people would say, well, you lost $5,000 first, then you invested another $5,000. But if you made $20,000, guess what? You're still up $10,000 from the original investment of that 10 you put in there. So there's 4 quarters. Some of we in the first quarter, the first situation, we take a huge loss, overcoming fear, and the fear overcomes you. And so they give up, they throw in the towel. But in that scenario that I just named, if you end up with $20,000, that's not a loss. You're still up $10,000. So Nelson Mandela is saying, I never lose. I either win or I learn. So you learn from the loss so that you can win later. And then you count your wins up against those losses. And usually, when you educate yourself, you can count your wins up against your losses. And now you have elevated past the losses. I never lose. I either win or I learn. Keisha says, never give up. Keep asking questions. Tony Sherman says, mindset winning all the time into reality. Love that. Never lose. I either win or I learn. Mr. Tony Sherman said initially got denial for a solar denial loan for solar panels, got another company, then loan paid off in 2 years. Now he has low electric bill. He learned from a loss. One company said no. He went and got it somewhere else. Keisha says, my job, I chose to create another stream of income. Also, my first business I had was a disaster, but I got educated on business and was able to revamp it and will be starting classes this year from my business. That's what I'm talking about. Being able to overcome fear, getting past a loss. Some people worry about what other people are going to say or comment. Thank you for tuning in, Ika and Reginald Huffman. You all, Nano, tuning in here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. You all make sure as you're tuned in, whether you listen in on TikTok or on Facebook, also go to the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and subscribe so I can grow that YouTube community as well. And so as we go down here, Robert Kiyosaki in the book talks about how Pearl Harbor changed America. Even Pearl Harbor was turned from one of America's greatest losses to what propelled the nation into becoming a world power. And so some people identify with their losses and they stay stuck there. And many of us use those losses as motivation. You know, when you put fuel and gas in your vehicle so you can take off, I use those losses as fuel to take off to my victory. I use the loss as fuel to hurry up to get to the finish line. And you got to shift your mentality. Most people play not to lose. I hate that. You play not to lose, which means you're not going to make any progress. And when they need to be playing to win, and that's why so many people struggle financially. They might have a safe, sensible, and balanced portfolio, but it's not a winning portfolio. They're playing not to lose. And so we're going to get past the losing and we're going to get to overcoming cynicism. So building your asset column doesn't take hard math, but it does take courage and the right attitude toward failure. Now, the next section, the next part of overcoming fear, overcoming obstacles, is overcoming cynicism. Now, whenever it's our own self-doubt or the doubt of others, people in our lives, we often allow that doubt to keep us from acting. How many have ever allowed doubt to keep you from acting? We're reading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad on my YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training. We have every chapter that we've gone over from chapter 1 to today, chapter 7. So you can read the book and then continue to follow along on those videos that are saved in the live tab on YouTube. Now, we play it safe and opportunities pass us by. And so that's the problem with worrying about what other people are going to say, worrying about that self-doubt that's in your head or other people that doubted in you. You know what? My brain is different. My brain is wired different because when people doubt me, oh my gosh, it's the best fuel in the world. It's like the doubt of others it gives me a natural high. When people have just a piece or inkling of, oh, he can't do it, that's more than enough for me. Is anybody built like that to where when someone or people doubt you, it don't even have to be a lot, just a little bit. It's almost like, how dare you? The disrespect, the audacity, the unmitigated gall. Like, you really have to have self-confidence, because if you don't have confidence in yourself, then who else is going to have confidence in you? You need to be carrying around your own bag of confidence. You need to have your own bag of assurity. You need to have your own bag of, you know what? I got this. Y'all got to have that in you. or you're not going to get to where you're trying to go. If you're going to wait on someone else to pat you on the back, then guess what? You're going to be waiting a long time because they might be worried about their own self. They may be patting their own self on the back. Mindset winning all the time into reality. We got Vicky. Happy to have you tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Trainer. She says, amen. Mike Keisha says, yes. Doubt me is fuel to excel. That's what Tony Sherman says. To doubt me is fuel to excel. I'm telling y'all have to have your own confidence. Tony Sherman says, I'm my biggest cheerleader. That's what I'm talking about. Before you even get a chance to say, go Simon, I'm already saying, go me. We got this. Look what I'm getting ready to do. And so you have to have confidence. And so when it comes to me and my confidence in God and who he made me to be and how he has shaped me and molded me and equipped me, my confidence is at a high level in certain things. To the point, check this out, ladies and gentlemen, overcoming cynicism, you have to have confidence even when you aren't an expert at something. You know why I have confidence even when I'm not an expert at something? One, because I know I'm not an expert. Two, I have enough common sense to go get help. Three, I have enough common sense to surround myself with people and mentors who may be experts in that area. So it's not on me. I got people that I'm connected to, tied to, and invested with that they are going to support me in that area where I'm weak. Then I'm going to be strong. So I still have confidence because I have confidence in the resources and the people that are surrounding me, that are supporting me. And so we got Vicky Anthony saying you're absolutely right. And so I want you all to be able to overcome cynicism, that self-doubt and the doubt of others by taking action, whether it's your strength or whether it's your weakness. Make adjustments to make yourself even more confident. For example, I'm not the greatest in the world when it comes to learning or understanding taxes, but I have a tax advisor. I have someone that helps me. So if I have a question and I don't know the answer to, I'm confident that I'll get the answer because I have resources and people that I'm connected to help me where I'm weak. Let's go a little bit further when it comes to overcoming cynicism. It often takes great courage to not let rumors and talk of doom and gloom affect your doubts and fears. But a savvy investor knows that the seemingly worst times is actually the best of times to make money. And that's something that a lot of people found out in the pandemic because a lot of people started hoarding and worried about spending money and they quit investing. And that was during the time where I was looking around and I started investing. I bought a house. I bought an investment property 2021 mid-pandemic. I bought a lot of crypto mid-pandemic and the crypto made me thousands of dollars. I was investing when everyone else was afraid. I was investing in stocks, all of that good stuff. I was investing in dividend stocks and it benefited me to invest when other people ran away, when other people weren't investing, and all of a sudden all of these asset classes started dropping in value. I was licking my chops because I knew it had nowhere to go but back up. So let's go a little bit further on here as we are tuning in Coach Steele's Finance Training, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel no matter what platform you're on. Fear will make you lose. Let's go a little bit further. Another thing that Robert Kiyosaki says in this book is doubt is expensive. How can doubt be expensive? Thank you, Captain Crunch, for tuning in here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Thank you, Bag, for tuning in as well. As we are reading this book, why is doubt expensive? Can anybody explain in their own words why doubt can be expensive? How can doubt be costly? Doubt and cynicism keep most people poor. Doubt and cynicism can keep most people poor. Have you ever had an idea of something you wanted to do and somebody planted a seed of doubt in you and you decided not to do it? And then all of a sudden you saw someone else do it and they had success. Someone else invested in that same thing and they had success. Or that house you drove by and you said, I wonder if I buy that, and you didn't. A year or two later, you see somebody else fixed it up and the house is doing well and the value of it shot up like crazy, and then they built a McDonald's by it or a Walmart or something else, and you missed out on 50 to 100,000+ because that seed of doubt was planted. Doubt can be costly. Doubt can be expensive. That doubt will cost you more than you even have in your savings account. Doubting yourself keeps you from moving forward and having that success. That's exactly it. And that's why we're dealing with these 5 things that can slow somebody down from overcoming their obstacles on today. We talked about overcoming fear. We're dealing with overcoming cynicism. And let's go a little bit further. This book is good. I want to deal with some of the stuff, but I can't deal with all of it because the sake of time. Real estate is a powerful investment tool for anyone seeking financial independence or freedom. It is a unique investment tool. Yet every time Robert mentions real estate as a vehicle, he often hears from other people, I don't want to have to fix toilets. They focus on toilets and keep them poor. So some people are so worried about, well, I can't fix this and I can't do that in this real estate example. And the funny part about it is I hear that all the time too. People say, well, I don't want to have to answer the call of tenants. I don't answer the calls. I put property management in charge. I find a great property management team. Thank you for tuning in. Joseph Cady here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. As y'all are tuning in, feel free to leave a comment, say good morning, greet me. I like reading off your comments and appreciating everybody that's tuning in. And if you share the live, bless you. I appreciate that as well, because we have to share this information when it comes to financial literacy and grow our community where it's a safe place to talk about financial literacy. So when we look at that, and I deal with people that tell me that as well, how do you handle that? I put property management in place. I let property management do their job. And because they do great at their job, I just answer emails, say yes or no, and I check my bank account. I'm not busy worried about toilets. I'm busy counting up my transactions. I stopped worrying about whether or not I can fix a toilet, and I focused more on receiving the transactions. What transactions am I talking about? I'm talking about the rent that comes into my checking account. Don't worry about toilets. Focus on the transactions. When you do your numbers right, everything will come out and you'll come out on top. Okay, Pam says, I need a good property management in Grovetown, Georgia. If you send me a message and a reminder, Pam, I don't know if my property management is in that area too, but we can always check with them and see, and maybe they'll be able to help you out or point you in the right direction of a good property management team. And that's the benefit of Coach Steele's Finance Training and networking. We can have our own community where we can reference people and resources and support one another in what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. And of course, here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, yes, I do mentoring. I do financial coaching, working with people one-on-one. And Tony Sherman says with his investments and his real estate, his comment is checking for deposits. That's what he does. He's not checking for the dumpster. He's checking for deposits. And so, guys, as y'all are tuning in, having a little fun with y'all and let y'all understand you can't let self-doubt get in the way. In the book, he talks about other things, but I don't want to take a lot of time going into that stuff. Cynics criticize and winners analyze. Can y'all put that in the comment section? I know that's a lot of big words, but in that comment section, Robert Kiyosaki, page 273 on Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he says, cynics criticize and winners analyze. Maybe y'all just write winners analyze. Winners analyze. And I want you all to start analyzing everything in 2026. Start challenging yourself. And so we can't make excuses. We can't worry about the toilets and all this other stuff. You get a good property management team. You get good group of contractors. Some people say, well, it's hard to find good contractors. Property management team are already connected to good contractors. And those contractors give estimates. You can set the parameters. If the expenses or the cost of getting this done on this much, on this house, go ahead, it's approved, get it done. If it's this high, give me a call, let me know. They send you information. They wait to get approval for you before they do anything. So it gives you the opportunity to knock it out yourself, or if you're busy and you have multiple properties, multiple doors, then you get them to do it. So you can be free to go do other things and make money in other ways. Happy to have you tuning in, Michael, and tuning in also Olumes and Sass. Thank you for tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training on today. You all make sure you share the live. The next thing that Robert Kiyosaki deals with, and this one will be pretty quick, that he says that causes most people to not have financial success and overcome their obstacles is they need to overcome laziness. Yes, winners analyze. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Yvette. Winners analyze. Overcome laziness. Some of us, we have things, projects, books, all these different things we want to get done. And we say it's not enough time in the day. Well, we got to make sacrifices. You might not get to watch that favorite TV show you want to watch every night. You may have to wake up a little bit early to get some extra work in. You may have to sacrifice maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes extra of sleep. Or instead of going out and hanging out, having fun, maybe you stay and work on your projects and the things that you need to overcome. But we have to overcome laziness if we want to overcome obstacles. One of the most common forms of laziness is staying busy. Check that out. A lazy person staying busy. Too busy to take care of your wealth or your health or your relationships. Sometimes we will find busy work to be lazy about the things that we need to get done. Think about that. That's kind of crazy that you'll go do something else to stay busy, to take your mind off the priorities of the things that matter. And that's a whole nother level of being lazy. Yes, procrastinating, Pam. That's exactly what it is. Tony Sherman says laziness causes you money losses. That's exactly it, 100%. And so we got to overcome being lazy and distracting ourselves. Sometimes, and here's where he challenges the thinking of a lot of people. I want y'all to listen closely to this. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and this is going to challenge the thought process and the logic of many people right here. Rather than saying, I can't afford it, change your mindset to, how can I afford it? That opens the brain and forces it to think of solutions. See, if you say I can't afford it, you made your brain be lazy. If I can't afford it is the final response. You know, in those game shows, they say, is it your final answer? If I can't afford it is your final answer, your brain shuts down and starts to be lazy. But if you start shifting your thinking to say, how can I afford it? What can I do to where it becomes affordable? What can I create? What can I come up with so that now this thing is attainable? Then your brain goes from lazy to start working harder to come up with other solutions to make that thing attainable. And so we have to activate our brains in 2026 so that it no longer thinks in a lazy way. Yes, how can I afford it? That's what I want you all to think. Thank you, Armando, for tuning in. Nathaniel tuning in. Smith C, thank you for tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Solutions to anything is a change of a mindset. Start thinking of solutions and stop saying that I just can't afford it. And that's the final answer. If you realize, you know what, this thing is expensive and currently right now I may not have, but then your brain immediately shifts into thinking, well, what can I do so that I can? And so now at that point, your brain is no longer lazy, it is active. Okay, let's go a little bit to the next action. This is another one. Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate y'all as y'all are hanging in there and tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Number 3, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Chapter 7, Overcoming Obstacles. How do we overcome obstacles? Number 3 is overcoming bad habits. Woo! How many of here have bad habits that's not healthy for your money? How many people have had to overcome bad habits? Many of us have had to overcome habits: drinking, smoking, lying, stealing, whatever it is your bad habit, biting your nails. What is your bad? When we were in school, some of us did homework at the last minute. Pam just wrote in a bad habit: procrastination. Happy to have you tuning in, Charmaine, GM, and who else we got? Terry Ruffin. Happy to have y'all tuning in here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. but we have to overcome bad habits in 2026 if we want to have success. Overcome bad habits. Many of us, most people have bad habits. Sometimes people say it takes 21 days to fix bad habits, to change them. Yeah, so basically, you go out doing that bad habit for 21 days and you should see some progress. Some people, it may take longer than that. To be successful, you must develop successful habits. So we go from bad habits to successful habits. Let's go a little bit further. Poor Dad always paid everyone first and himself last. Here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, we do not teach and practice the habit of paying everyone else first and paying ourselves last. Nope. You got to shift that mentality. Who should you pay first? In that comment section, I want y'all to tell me, here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, we say it all the time. Who should you pay first? Poor Dad always paid everyone else first and himself last. Remember in the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, there's a poor dad and there's a rich dad. And the poor dad had bad financial habits and practices. Boom. That's what I'm talking about right there. Pam Francis says, pay yourself first. You should always pay yourself first. Bad habit. Makeisha says, never writing down goals or setting goals was a bad habit. And so now I'm sure she speaks her goals. She writes them down. She talks to other people about them. Makeisha says she pays the Lord first and then herself. That's a good habit. Tony Sherman, same thing. God, then self. Then I pay my bills. And so we want to develop good habits. One of the easiest things that you all can do when it comes to paying yourself first is making sure whatever you were wanting to invest for that month, put the money in investment. Whatever you were putting in your emergency fund, put it in there first. Paying yourself first. If you have a 401k plan, some of you automatically have it set up to where as soon as you get paid, your whatever amount goes to your 401k, your retirement plan, IRA, and then the rest hits your account. You have to practice paying yourself first. Poor Dad paid himself last, but he rarely had any left over. Rich Dad always paid himself first, even if he was short of money. Imagine that. I'm not breaking this positive habit of paying myself first, even if I'm short of money. How can you pay yourself if you're short of money? My guess is Rich Dad, if he's short of money, then now he has to activate his brain and say, well, if I paid myself first, but I'm still short over here where I need to pay the government taxes or whether I need to pay my bills or expenses, it's activating his brain to say, I need to develop another way to make this still happen, to make this shake, even though I'm short. And so regardless, make sure you pay yourself first. Now, overcoming bad habits, it says, Rich Dad, he knew that the creditors in the government would make a big enough flap if he didn't pay them, that it would motivate him to seek other forms of income to pay them. If he paid himself last, he wouldn't feel that kind of productive pressure. Forcing himself to think about how to come up with the extra income to pay the creditors made him fiscally stronger. And so that's why this is a good book. Kind of gives you a different mindset to think about as y'all are sharing the live with other people here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. And many of you are participating in this as well. Pam says direct deposit goes to savings and investment accounts. That's what I'm talking about. I call that, Pam, set it and forget it, because it's just going to happen like clockwork every single month or whatever you get paid. Direct deposits. And so there's a book, I believe it's called Automatic Millionaire. And that's one of the things that he teaches and preaches and talks about, setting things on auto to where it automatically does it. So Makeisha said, I never knew paying yourself could be investing or adding it to your savings account. Thank you for this nugget. What other forms of paying yourself? There's so many forms of paying yourself first. Honestly, it's like paying yourself first financially, but then there's also creative ways where you can pay yourself first physically. It's like when we wake up in the morning, what do you do for your physical health to pay yourself first? Is it, you know what, I'm going to wake up and fix myself a warm cup of herbal tea that's going to provide me with some nutrients, speed up my metabolism? Like, am I going to go get up and exercise? There's so many different ways to pay yourself first. holistically. Am I going to start going on a YouTube channel where they're talking about foolishness? Or am I going to get up and read a good book that's going to motivate me or inspire me? Paying yourself first holistically, mentally, financially, physically. Who do I get on the phone and talk with socially? How do I pay myself first? How do I motivate my brain and my mindset? How do I propel myself to be in the right place physically and mentally as I get ready to open up this day to have success? You have to be able to pay yourself first in multiple ways. Good question, Makisha. All right, let's go a little bit further. Now, we did overcoming bad habits. We're almost close towards the end here. Next is overcoming arrogance. All right. Y'all are working me today. My goodness, I like this. All right, JoJo, happy to have you tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Merster tuning in. User 76976584075. Happy to have you tuning in. Coach Steele's Finance Training on today. Markeisha said, never knew I was paying myself first in all those ways. Yes, give yourself a pat on the back. You ought to be excited. So as you educate yourself, Markeisha, it gives you more motivation, more excitement, more confidence that you're doing the right thing, and you overcome obstacles and fear and all of that stuff because you start realizing how much you're doing right as opposed to the little things that you're doing wrong. And so when we focus so much on what we may be doing wrong and not all the adjustments and the corrections of what we're doing right, we don't realize we have way more momentum than we thought. Let's go a little bit further. Overcoming arrogance. Rich Dad said every time he had been arrogant, he lost money because he thought that what he didn't know wasn't important. Now think about this. He thought the stuff that he didn't know wasn't important. I find that a lot. You know, I'm talking to people, I'm like, hey, you know what? They'll say, my goal is to make $5,000 a month, and I'm going to do it this way. And I say, you know what? You might be, and they'll say, I'm going to make $5,000 a month, but it's going to take me 20 years. I was like, wait, what? 20 years, 30 years. I said, you know, you could just do that over there, and you probably could do 5,000 a month in like 3 years, 5 years. That's just another option that you have. It's possible. And they're like, yeah, but I don't like that. Or I don't. I said, so you have to like it to reach your goal. Think about it. The arrogance, the audacity, the unmitigated goal. If your goal is 5,000 and it's legal and you can do it another way, why not just hit your goal? But if we don't know something, we get so arrogant about it that we will put our goal on the back burner because we're intimidated or because we're arrogant about learning something another way. We got to be able to check our arrogance. Because if someone is showing you how to reach your goal sooner and what you said you want to accomplish, then it shouldn't be a problem. You should want to educate yourself and learn those things. Listen to what he said about arrogance. Rich Dad said every time he had been arrogant, he lost money because he thought that what he didn't know wasn't important. Some of the most important things in life that are important, you don't even know. And that's why you have to educate yourself constantly, being a sponge, being able to learn what it is that you do not know. How do you learn what you don't know? By staying a learner, by staying a student, so that you can put these things to practice. Robert found himself in discussions with accountants and investors that they will try to bluster their way through discussion, and it becomes clear they don't know what they're talking about. Ignorance isn't a bad thing if you react to your own ignorance by educating yourself by finding an expert in that field. And so he goes on in the rest of the book in this section of overcoming arrogance, talking about the left hemisphere moment and the right hemisphere moment and the subconscious. But I'll let you all continue to read that in the book for yourself. And so we have to overcome arrogance, ladies and gentlemen. We dealt with overcoming arrogance. We dealt with overcoming bad habits, overcoming fear, overcoming cynicism, and overcoming laziness. That's a lot that we dealt with on today. The last two things that I'll read off, The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear. I want you all to do a better job of managing your fear. As you're tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, IDK and Tiger and Vavi and Sean Barber. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. But listen to this. The primary difference between a rich person and a poor person is how they manage fear. I hope that as y'all are tuning in, you learn how to manage your fear and use it as motivation and not a way to detract you or slow you down from making your progress. He says, for most people, the reason they don't win financially is because the pain of losing money, that past hurt, that PTSD, that trauma, is far greater than the joy of being rich. You cannot be afraid of losing so much that you don't give yourself a chance to win. Listen to what I'm saying. You can't be so afraid that if I try something, I might lose. So you decide not to go for a win. If you decide not to go for a win because of trauma, defeat, or a loss, then you've already lost, because you have decided not to reach and go for the win. If you're not going for a win, then what are you going for? You're stagnant. You're stuck. Pond water. And so I want you all to think about that on today. Thank you for tuning in, Emmanuel, as we talk about this on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Last thing I'll say here, Rich Dad knew that failure would only make him stronger and smarter. It's not that he wanted to lose. He just knew who he was and how he would take a loss. Guys, that's chapter 7. Chapter 7 is powerful. And chapter 7 on Rich Dad, Poor Dad should motivate you all to take action on those goals and those things you want to accomplish. Educate yourself, take action, get the knowledge, get the information, be able to operate in wisdom, get the mentorship, get the coaching, get the guidance. There's no reason why you should not be making financial success in 2026. If many of you have a house or home and you're looking to get out of debt and you want to learn the HELOC strategy, reach out to me, leave a message. I'll send you a link. That way you can get some information and get a free assessment on how to pay off your home, consumer debt, personal loans, student loans, car notes, all that good stuff. So guys, here on Coach Steele's Finance Training, we are having an awesome time talking about overcoming obstacles in 2026. I really want to see all of you overcome obstacles, and I want to see your testimonies. I want you all to come back with the success stories that you all had. Tony says, don't get in the game if you're trying to, get in the game if you're trying to win. And I'm so glad I played sports as a kid. My coach would never let us give up. So I'm used to keep pushing even when we lost. That's exactly it. But I appreciate everybody tuning in to Coach Steele's Finance Training. Make sure you go to the description box, click on my link. I have t-shirts that says Make Money Multitask. You can patronize me, go get a t-shirt and support the movement here on Coach Steele's Finance Training. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. All of you have a blessed rest of your Saturday. I know where I'm at. It's supposed to snow. I don't know where y'all are at in the world. So we'll see what happens. And until next time, y'all keep pushing and challenging yourself to be great. You got this. And have a